the main question that needs to be answered here is why. How did their deterioration happen in such a short period of time, despite the LA fires, and is it as dire as they say? I mean, we have to remember State Farm was already granted a 20% increase last year. Months later, they requested another 30% increase. And so we're told this would actually amend that one if approved. But of course, that's the big question. And the other thing that the commissioner will be asking tomorrow, according to his office, is what the company has done, if anything, to restore that stability. And so that question will really be focused on the parent company, State Farm Mutual. Are they involved? Are they willing to help? And that's the expectation.
Okay, you mentioned the LA wildfires. How do you think that's going to play into all of this?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a huge factor, Alma, given we've been covering the devastation there. We know it's the costliest fire in terms of insured losses here in the state of California, and one of the top in the country. And so that's certainly going to be part of State Farm's argument, as we saw in their statement in the letter they sent. But in terms of how they justify it, it's really going to be a balance. I mean, the commissioner has to weigh his obligation to make sure that there is a fair and balanced market. And that is something his critics say he has failed to do for years now. Now, I think part of that answer will really have to be determined on whether or not State Farm Mutual, the parent company, steps in and in what capacity.
Looking at those fires and thinking, how is this going to impact me? How is it going to impact the state as a whole?
Right. I mean, you think about everyone who's struggling getting insurance, right? I mean, we're all affected by that. And that's the scary part. You think about the homeowners in Los Angeles County, those who actually lost their homes, who will still have to be paying for insurance. I mean, the moratorium that the commissioner has put into place only affects non-renewals. So people are still going to be paying that price tag. So yeah, as you mentioned at the top of the segment, 22% hike for homeowners. That's going to be significant. 15% for renters and condo owners, and of course 38% for rental dwellings. So we're hearing from people through our coverage, Alma, that they just want to move out of the state. They're done with this. You know, they can't deal. And certainly you can't blame them. But the other big concern here, aside from just those rate hikes, is bailing out the FAIR plan, given what we know in terms of the insured losses for the LA County fires. The latest estimate I can tell you from UCLA economists are projecting losses at $75 billion with a B, and that's for insured losses. That's the highest figure we've seen yet. But I will say, other estimates go anywhere from $8 billion to up to $40 billion for all 5 fires. So, that's going to be a huge factor in determining whether or not every policyholder in the state of California, not just State Farm, will be paying part of the price here. And that's all because of a memorandum that the commissioner passed last year that basically stated that anything exceeding $1 billion in losses could be passed on to the policyholders. And so that's obviously going to be a huge concern.
Yeah, people are getting dropped, and if they're getting insurance, they have to pay so much, and like you said, they'd rather move out of state, especially if you can't get covered, because how are you going to live somewhere and then if you have your house burned down? Do we expect an actual decision tomorrow?
So no, at this point it would be very unlikely to get an actual decision on whether it's approved or rejected. But those in the industry are expecting hopefully a decision within the next week. What we can expect tomorrow is some kind of analysis on what is being discussed. What are some of the answers from State Farm executives as to why they need this increase? Do they have the data to back it up? And will the commissioner be following the law, that's Prop 103, state law, to adhere to those guidelines, or is he going to inside with the insurance industry, which we've seen him do in the past?
And he has faced a lot of criticism in the past. What kind of long-term impacts could come from this decision?
It's an interesting question, Alma. I think part of it is a political, question for him, right? I mean, what's next for him? People have rumored that he wants to potentially run for lieutenant governor. It's unclear if that's the case. I asked him about it in our last interview, and he didn't want to answer. But certainly, given the fact that he has received so much criticism about how he's cozying up to the industry, how he has, has been wined and dined from industry execs from LA to New York City, 4- or 5-star restaurants. Those have all been revealed through public records. I mean, people are asking serious questions. This is the time for him to act and with the utmost authority that he has under the law. So that will be a huge factor in what happens tomorrow.
All right. He's being watched closely. This whole process is being watched closely, and we know you are on top of it.
I do want to add one more thing. The hearing tomorrow is not public.
Oh, okay.
So that is going to be another crucial point of contention, that the press can't be there to listen in. So we are going to be relying on the attorneys who are present to be able to weigh in on what actually happened.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Stephanie. 7 on your side, always here to help you. And you can reach out to Steph and the team. All you have to do is go to abc7news.com/7 on your side.